There is a kind of patience that is born only when the heart finally understands where to place its burdens. Most of us walk through life carrying weights that were never meant to be ours. We hold on to timelines, expectations, disappointments, and wounds that we keep reopening because we replay them in our minds. But patience, real patience, is not just about wait this. It is about trusting while you wait. It is about knowing that the delay is not a denial, and that every moment you are forced to pause is a moment in which Allah is rearranging your destiny in ways you cannot yet see. Your heart softens when it realizes that you are not being punished, you are being prepared. Every hardship you face has a purpose, and every tear you shed is collected by the one who sees every struggle even when you hide it. You become patient when you stop fighting the tide and start trusting the one who controls the ocean. And once your heart surrenders to that truth, patience is no longer something you force. It becomes something you feel. You will become patient not because life got easier, but because your heart finally understood that Allah is with you through every step, every silence, and every unanswered prayer. And nothing brings more peace than that. Patience grows when the heart learns to trust Allah's timing instead of its own. It is one of the most profound spiritual transformations a person can experience, because it requires releasing the illusion of control and embracing the reality of divine wisdom. We spend so much of our lives trying to force outcomes, trying to rush what isn't ready, trying to open doors that Allah, in His mercy, has kept closed. We convince ourselves that we know what is best, when in truth, our vision is limited and our understanding is incomplete. The heart becomes restless when it tries to control what was never in its hands. It becomes exhausted from chasing, worrying, and questioning. But the moment the heart realizes that timing belongs to Allah, and always has, it begins to breathe again. It begins to let go of the tight grip it once kept on life, and instead starts to surrender with trust. Trusting Allah's timing means believing that He sees the entire path when you can only see one step. It means knowing that every delay, every pause, every unanswered prayer is not a sign of neglect. Rather, it is a sign that Allah is aligning your life with what your soul truly needs. Often, we ask for things we are not ready to receive. We seek blessings that would break us if they arrive too early. Allah withholds not to hurt us, but to protect us, to grow us, and to prepare us. If He gives at the wrong time, it can destroy us. If He gives at the right time, it can transform us. What we interpret as waiting is, in His wisdom, becoming. It is the silent shaping of your coming, your resilience, your sincerity, and your faith. When the heart trusts Allah's timing, patience becomes softer, gentler, and more natural. It is no longer the heavy patience of gritting your teeth through trials. It becomes the peaceful patience of knowing that whatever is meant for you will never miss you, and whatever misses you is never meant for you. You stop fighting the pace of your life and instead work with it. You stop comparing your journey to others because you realize their timeline is not yours. You stop questioning why something hasn't happened yet or why something ended sooner than you wanted. You begin to understand that the one who created time is also the one who arranges your life within it. Sometimes, Allah delays because He wants you to detach from what you thought you needed. Sometimes, He delays because He wants you to discover Him in the waiting. Sometimes, He delays because the blessing itself is being shaped for you. And sometimes, He delays because you are being shaped for the blessing. This understanding turns anxiety into calmness and impatience into acceptance. You start to see your life not as random events, but as intentional steps guided by divine care. You begin to realize that Allah is never late. His timing is perfect because His knowledge is perfect. Patience becomes easier when the heart remembers that Allah never forgets you. The waiting is not empty, it is filled with unseen mercy, hidden lessons, and quiet growth. The heart that trusts Allah's timing lives with more peace, more gratitude, and more stability, because it knows that every moment is exactly where it's meant to be. And when the blessing finally arrives, you will see why the delay was necessary. You will understand why Allah made you wait. You will look back and realize that His plan was always better than yours. Trusting His timing doesn't shorten the journey, but it makes every step meaningful. It turns pain into purpose, waiting into worship, and uncertainty into unwavering faith. Hardships are not punishments, they are preparation for something greater. This truth becomes clearer the more we understand the nature of divine love and divine wisdom. When a person goes through a trial, the immediate reaction is often to assume something is wrong. Why me? What did I do wrong? Why is Allah letting this happen? But the heart transforms when it realizes that hardships are not signs of abandonment. They are signs of attention. They are moments where Allah is personally investing in your growth, your strength, and your closeness to Him. Nothing difficult enters your life unless it carries something meaningful within it. You may see pain, but Allah sees purification. You may see loss, but Allah sees elevation. You may see a closed door, but Allah sees protection. And sometimes, what feels like the hardest moment of your life is actually the moment Allah begins to rebuild you in ways you never imagined. Trials polish the heart the way fire purifies gold. They strip away illusions, heal hidden wounds, and remove attachments that were quietly controlling your life. Hardships force you to pause, reflect, and return to the one who never leaves. They remind you that your strength does not come from the world, but from the one who created it. When life is easy, we often drift. When life becomes heavy, we cling to Allah more tightly. And sometimes that closeness is the very gift hidden inside the hardship. When Allah wants to elevate someone, He does not give them comfort. He gives them challenges that shape their character, deepen their patience, and strengthen their faith. Every hardship carries a lesson that is tailor-made for your soul. Some trials teach you resilience, others teach you humility. Some teach you to let go of what harms you. Others teach you to appreciate what you once took for granted. And some trials simply teach you to rely on Allah in a way you never did before. When the heart begins to understand the pain becomes easier to carry. It no longer feels like a punishment, it feels like a process, a refining, a cleansing, a preparation. Just as a seed must break before it grows, the soul must go through moments of breaking before it expands into something. Often the greatest blessings come after the most difficult tests. Look back at your life. How many times did something painful lead you to something better? How many times did loss make space for something you never imagined? How many times did disappointment redirect you toward exactly what you needed? We rarely see the wisdom while we are in the storm, but we almost always see it once the storm passes. The heart learns, step by step, that Allah's plan is not just good, it is perfect, even the parts that hurt. When you begin to trust that hardships are preparation, your entire perspective shifts. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start asking, what is this teaching me? You stop feeling punished and start feeling guided. You stop resisting the pain and start looking for the purpose within it. You realize that Allah is not breaking you, He is building you. He is removing what you do not need so He can make space for what He intends for you. He is strengthening the very parts of you that will carry the blessings you prayed for. Sometimes the blessing is too heavy, so Allah strengthens your spirit before He places it in your hands. Hardships shape you into someone capable of receiving more, understanding more, and being grateful for more. They deepen your empathy, soften your heart, expand your wisdom, and increase your reliance on the one who knows you better than you know yourself. And when the moment finally arrives, when the ease follows the hardship, you begin to see the beauty in the struggle. You realize that every tear was counted, every prayer was heard, and every sleepless night was seen by the one who never leaves his servant alone. In that moment, you understand the hardship was never a punishment. It was preparation for the greatness that was always written for you. Real patience is born from surrender, not resistance. Most people think patience is about holding on tightly, forcing themselves to endure, gritting their teeth through pain, or pretending to be strong even when they are breaking inside. But this is not true patience. That kind of endurance creates heaviness in the soul, tension in the heart, and exhaustion in the mind. Real patience is something softer, lighter, and far more powerful. It is not about fighting the moment you are in. It is about accepting it. It is not about resisting reality. It is about surrendering to the one who allowed that reality to unfold. Resistance drains you. Surrender frees you. When you resist what Allah has written, your heart becomes a battlefield. You argue with what it does feel. You replay what should have been. You cling to what is already gone. You try to control what was never in your control. And the more you resist, the more you suffer. But when the heart finally lets go and says, "Via Allah, I accept. I trust your wisdom even when I don't understand," a transformation begins. Patience slowly grows in that space of surrender. Your heart becomes lighter because it is no longer trying to carry the weight of the world alone. You stop wrestling with fate and start finding peace within it. You stop asking why this is happening and begin trusting that the one who brought you to this moment did so with purpose, mercy, and wisdom. Surrender is not giving up. It is giving into the reality that Allah knows, sees, and controls everything. It is realizing that your story is already written by the one whose plan is more loving than your desires and more wise than your fears. When you surrender, you allow your heart to align with Allah's timing instead of your own. You allow yourself to see meaning in moments that once felt unbearable. You allow your spirit to breathe again because it no longer has to fight a battle it was never meant to win. True patience is not passive, it is active trust. It is the quiet confidence that everything happening to you has a reason, even if that reason is hidden from your eyes. It is believing that Allah is with you in every hardship, strengthening you, shaping you, and preparing you for what lies ahead. Patience becomes natural when you stop resisting the path Allah placed you on and start walking it with faith. Even when the road is painful, surrender makes the burden easier to carry because you know you are not walking alone. Sometimes surrender means letting go of people who were not written to stay. Sometimes it means accepting a delay that feels unfair. Sometimes it means embracing a hardship that stretches your heart in ways you didn't want. Sometimes it means releasing a dream you held onto for years because Allah has something better. Every time the heart surrenders, something inside it grows, strengthens, and deepens. And from that place, patience begins to flow, not forced, not manufactured, but natural and sincere. When you surrender, your heart becomes clear. You begin to see the wisdom behind Allah's decision. You realize that what you resisted was actually protecting you. You understand that what you clung to was never meant for you. You see how the closed doors redirected you towards something more beautiful. You recognize that every hardship, every loss was part of a larger story that was guiding you toward closeness with Allah. And in that moment, you understand. Patience was never about surviving the storm. It was about trusting the one who controls it. Real patience blossoms when the heart lets go of trying to control outcomes and instead finds peace in Allah's. It is not found in resistance. It is found in surrender. And the more you surrender, the more your heart rests, heals, and resues. Every delay carries a hidden mercy that we often recognize only later. When something we deeply want takes longer than expected, our hearts immediately fill with frustration, confusion, or sadness. We start to believe that the delay is a sign that our prayers are ignored or that our dreams are slipping out of reach. But in reality, delay is one of the most profound forms of divine protection and divine love. The timing of Allah is not random. His delays are not denials. They are strategic pauses filled with wisdom, mercy, and preparation. A delay is often the gentle hand of Allah steering you away from harm, strengthening you for what's coming, or reshaping your heart so you can receive the blessing in the best possible state. Sometimes the delay is protecting you from something you are unaware of. You may think you are ready for a blessing because your intentions feel pure and your desire is strong. But Allah sees the unseen. He knows the conversations that happen behind closed doors, the dangers you never witnessed, the consequences you could not foresee. He knows when a blessing would be too heavy, too soon, or too harmful. Delay becomes a shield, an invisible barrier between you and what would break you. And one day, when the truth unfolds, you look back and realize the delay was not a hardship, it was mercy wearing the disguise of waiting. Other times, the delay is shaping you. Allah may delay a blessing because the person you are today is not yet ready to carry it. Blessings require maturity, wisdom, patience, and emotional strength. A blessing given too early can become a burden. A blessing given too soon can be mishandled, underappreciated, or even lost. So Allah delays, not to deprive you, but to develop you. He stretches your heart, deepens your faith, strengthens your reliance on Him, and softens your character. You grow in the waiting. You become someone who can hold the blessing with gratitude rather than arrogance, with humility rather than entitlement, with responsibility rather than carelessness. Later, when the blessing finally arrives, you understand why Allah made you wait. You needed the delay to become the version of yourself who could truly receive. Sometimes the delay is preparing the blessing itself. Just as you are evolving, the blessing is also being aligned, shaped, refined, and placed into your path at the perfect moment. The right opportunity is being arranged. The right people are being brought into your life. The right environment is being prepared. The blessing may be growing behind the scenes while you assume nothing is happening, but Allah is always working in the unseen. He is always preparing what you cannot see. The delay is simply the space between your prayer and its perfect manifestation. And sometimes the delay teaches you lessons you would never have learned otherwise. Patience, gratitude, surrender, resilience. These virtues are shaped in the silence of waiting. You discover who you become when life slows down, when things don't go your way, when the answer to your prayers doesn't come immediately. You learn humility. You learn trust. You learn to let go of your timeline and embrace His. You learn that your worth is not measured by how quickly your prayers are answered, but by how deeply you trust during the waiting. The beauty of delay is that its wisdom is often revealed only in hindsight. Months or years later, you look back and whisper, Subhanallah, now it makes sense. You realize the person you wanted was not good for your soul. You see how the job you desperately prayed for would have drained your happiness. You understand why the door that once hurt you to close was actually saving you from a life of regret. You recognize how the painful pause led you to a blessing greater than anything you could have imagined. Every delay is a mercy, and every mercy is intentional. When Allah holds something back, it is because He knows the exact moment it will benefit you. And when the time is finally right, He gives in ways that remind you He was never withholding. He was preparing. Allah sees every silent struggle. The ones you hide behind a smile. The ones you bury beneath your daily responsibility. The ones that no one around you ever notices because you've learned to carry them quietly. There are battles in your heart that you don't have the words to express. Wounds you continue to walk with because life doesn't pause long enough for you to heal. You pray in whispers, hoping for relief, hoping for understanding, hoping for a moment where everything inside you finally makes sense. And even when no human being notices, even when your pain is invisible to the world, Allah sees it completely. Not a single tear, not a single moment of we, not a single ache in your chest goes unseen by the one who created you. There is a kind of comfort in knowing that Allah's sight is not limited like the sight of people. People see only what you show people. They see the surface of your life, your habits, your words, your behavior. They may misunderstand your pain, judge your actions, or overlook your struggles entirely. But Allah sees the depth beneath every silence. He sees the heaviness behind every breath you take. He sees the exhaustion behind every step you make. He sees the courage it takes for you to wake up every morning and continue, even when your heart feels fragile. Your silent battles are not hidden from Him. They are held by Him. Every moment you restrain your anger, He sees it. Every time you swallow your sadness to protect someone else's peace, He sees it. Every night you cry into your pillow so no one will hear you, He hears it. Every time you choose patience over despair, He records it. Every time you force a smile so you don't burden others with your pain, He knows it. And every time you stand up after falling, even if you stand trembling, He is with you. Nothing escapes His knowledge. Nothing is too small for His care. Sometimes the struggle you carry feels too personal, too complicated, too deep for anyone else to understand. And that is exactly where Allah's mercy becomes the most comforting. You don't have to explain yourself to Him. You don't have to find the right words. You don't have to justify why you feel the way you feel. He already knows. He already understands the story behind every emotion. He knows what broke you, what changed you, what scared you, and what shaped you. He knows the intentions behind your actions, the sincerity behind your prayers, and the pain behind your silence. To Him, your heart is an open book. Allah sees the strength it takes for you to hold on when you're tired. He sees the faith it takes for you to stay patient when your situation hasn't changed. He sees the trust it takes for you to keep making do even when you haven't received the answer yet. Your silent struggle is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of devotion. It is a sign that even in your most vulnerable moment, you are turning to Him, relying on Him, and hoping in Him. And because He sees everything, He also rewards everything. Nothing you endure quietly is ever wasted. Every silent sacrifice, every hidden pain, every private moment of resilience is being written for you. When the world doesn't thank you, Allah does. When people don't appreciate your efforts, Allah does. When nobody understands what you're going through, Allah does. And when relief finally comes, and it will, you will know that every step you took in silence was seen, counted, and cherished by the one who is closer to you than your own heartbeat. Allah's awareness of your silent struggles is not just a reminder. It is a promise. A promise that you are never alone. A promise that your pain has purpose. A promise that your tears will lead to ease. And a promise that your unseen battles will someday turn into blessings that reflect how deeply you endured, how beautifully you trusted, and how sincerely you held on. Peace comes when you stop carrying what Allah never asked you to carry. Much of the heaviness you feel in your heart doesn't come from life itself. It comes from the burdens you've picked up along the way, you believing they were yours to hold. You carry the weight of people's expectations, the pressure to be perfect, the responsibility for outcomes you can't control, and the guilt for things that were never your fault. You carry old wounds as if healing depends on you alone, and you carry worries about the future as if the future answers to you. But the truth is simple. You were never created to carry everything. You were created to surrender some things, release, and trust Allah with all things. So much of your emotional exhaustion comes from trying to be what only Allah can be. Protector, provider, planner, healer, fixer. You take on battles that are not yours, hold on to people who were never meant to stay, and worry about situations that Allah already promised to take care of. You try to solve what is out of your reach, and you blame yourself when things don't go according to your plans. But nowhere in your creation did Allah ask you to carry the universe on your shoulders. He asked you to tie your camel and trust Him. He asked you to do your part and surrender the rest. Peace begins when you finally step back and let Allah be the one who manages what only He can. Sometimes we hold on to pain because we think letting go means losing control. But in reality, letting go is how you regain your soul. The heart becomes tired when it holds what it was never meant to hold. It becomes anxious when it tries to control what was never its responsibility. It becomes confused when it tries to understand what only Allah knows. Letting go doesn't mean you're weak. Letting go means you trust Allah enough to hand Him what is breaking you. It means you accept that not everything is yours to fix. Not everyone is yours to save. And not every story is yours to complete. When you release the burdens Allah never intended for you, something inside you finally softens. You stop replaying the past because you understand Allah already saw it and wrote wisdom within it. You stop fearing the future because you realize Allah is already there, arranging what will happen long before you arrive. You stop overthinking every detail because you know your life is not held together by your worries. It is held together by His mercy. Slowly, the heart unclenches. Peace enters. Some burdens come from people. You carry their judgments, their words, their expectations, their disappointments. You feel responsible for how they see you or how they react to your choices. But Allah never asked you to live your life through the eyes of others. He asked you to live with sincerity, humility, and trust in Him. When you stop trying to please everyone and focus on pleasing Allah, the weight lifts. You begin to breathe in a way you haven't breathed in years. Other burdens come from wounds. You carry heartbreak, betrayal, loss, and emotional scars as if holding onto them will keep you safe. But healing begins the moment you hand your brokenness to Allah and say, I cannot carry this alone. He never asked you to heal yourself. He asked you to come to Him, to turn to Him, to trust Him with the pieces of your heart. And when you do, He mends them gently, sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly, but always perfectly. And then there are the burdens of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of change, fear of failure, fear of disappointment. These fears whisper that everything depends on you. But peace whispers back us that everything depends on Allah. When you finally embrace that truth, fear loosens its grip. You begin to walk through life with a calmer heart because you know you are guided, protected. True peace is not found in controlling life. True peace is found in releasing the weight of control into the hands of the one who already controls everything. When you stop carrying what Allah never asked you to carry, your heart becomes lighter, your mind becomes, and your soul finally rests in the safety of His care.